So people are coming in?
Yes.
Good, good. So welcome to our meeting today. Please stay muted. Not everybody is muted for the moment. And we will give it just 2 more minutes to have everybody arriving. So I think I will start just with a warm welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, taking the time. We are really very grateful to this and appreciate your interest. And we indeed do hope to spread a little bit of enthusiasm into what we want to do, and we will give enough room also to ask questions and to address them all together. So having said all this, I'm here with my team. You know me very well as coordinator of the ERN, and with Adriana and Martin being here the strong project managers that support me in all these undertakings and that you know very well from everyday's communications and a lot of guidance and emails, trying to steer the important network activities all together. Having said all this, Adri, could you start sharing the slides, please?
She's interested.
You should see them now.
It's perfect for me on my screen. All fine. So again, warm welcome. And as you know, our today's topic is to bring you up to date where we stand with the European Clinical Practice Guidelines, and in particularly where we stand with the registry. And after the more formal parts of our talk, I will also give you some update information directly from the ERN coordinators group and recent activities. So next slide. What we are going to do today together is to remind ourselves on the common aims and ambitions on ESCPs and on the registry, because you all might remember when we kicked off a number of years ago, this was an unanimous decision taken all together also with the clinical research councils, namely clinical trial groups, with parent-patient groups, and all those really engaged deeply in the care and clinical trial situation across Europe, that such guiding documents would be of high relevance and that we would develop it all together. As whatever you do in the Commission, and particularly also in view of tackling inequalities across Europe, there is no way around that. At least to a certain degree, you need to measure what you do. And hopefully, and that this was our big common ambition, we will learn through the use of this registry also the improvements in the outcome data across all childhood cancer entities in the upfront setting. So I will then report a little bit deeper where we stand today with the registry. And wish then to discuss with you quite openly about resources that you have or you might need, and to which degree it's needed to implement this registry at your center sites. So Q&A has a big proportion of our today's day. Hence, I would suggest I don't have that many slides. It's just 16 in total to guide you through as a recall, and then happily come back to any questions that you may have. Next slide. So as I already tried to point out, the origin of developing all this is on a strong collaboration between SIOP Europe, the European Clinical Trial Groups, and the European Reference Network. And we have received funding for this. And you all will remember how strongly we worked with the clinical trial groups to establish, on the one hand, the ESCPs through a nice concept of mentors, senior in the fields, with younger colleagues who engaged very deeply, so that we are today where we stand. Next slide. So a quick reminder, very well known, but sometimes it's good to have these brief recalls. Our ambition was really to set a common frontline treatment standard that really reflects the agreed upon current best practice approach for each common childhood cancer. Having said this, I think it's very clear that these ESCPs will need upgrading and updating whenever new evidence comes along. And on the other hand, we felt it would be extremely important to foster the collaboration across borders and countries to really upscale the skills of state-of-the-art diagnostics, the medical treatment pathways, also in cross-border healthcare setting whenever needed, just to embrace all the necessary interventions to cure a child that is affected by any type of childhood cancer. What I think is, having said all this, I think we should also remember that we were very clear at the point that these ESCPs are not only written for widening countries, where we tried to create clarity across many frontline protocols that possibly have been in use or have been brought to the country when it's sometimes then hard to use the one or the other. So this standardization was a very strong common motivation to create this, but not to be forgotten. And I think everybody in the field, being very experienced, will happily agree that there is also a problem in between the development of often quite complex randomized frontline protocols, where we do fall back to a standard of care. So this then has not been somehow reinvented. It's already there. And that's why it's also one of our tasks and jobs to update when evidence or new evidence comes available. Next slide, please. So I already pointed out a little bit in the beginning why a registry on top. I think we had different ambitions around this registry, and I think this is very important to really understand this, because number one, and firstly, harmonization is needed across all entities. And in the middle of the registry is a European Commission core module that embraces 16 very basic data commons that allow us to bridge data, to link data, and whatever we decide, particularly in view of the forthcoming European health data space that gives much wider room to secondary use of data than we currently do have. Secondly, the ambition was that the registry will not be overboarding, so ambitions on data capture are on purpose kept low. And the prerequisite was to target about 50 data commons on top, but hopefully not more than 100. So over 100, that's the other way around. Less than 100 was the ambition. That we really have something that is doable, practical, and then that can be delivered even if you are under-resourced to fill in important registry data. The ambition was to have on the backbone of the 16 GRC data commons at least the capture of important risk factors, name it variables, that will help to make a difference and a contribution. And so it's probably the advanced prototype on the Toronto guidelines and Toronto registries, as we know, where the epidemiological registries on top have tried to onboard stage to better understand childhood cancer. So the POC package as a whole is better diagnostics, standardized treatments, and better understanding of childhood cancer outcomes overall in respecting currently established risk factors to steer treatment intensities. What we ask in this registry is no detailed treatment information, but basically if the treatment was able to be delivered according to the guideline. However, since we are in an era of drug shortages and implementation feasibilities are not equal across Europe, we ask for the reasons of deviation. And this can be the lack of access to drugs or access to any interventions, either in the diagnostic part or even in the treatment therapeutic parts. But most importantly, deviations, non-available drugs, no access to drugs that are considered standard of care. So with the help of UPIT, and this is probably also worthwhile to have a name on it, UPIT works. UPIT has been upgraded to the newest standards and as such fulfills all the requirements. There have been stories in the past to implement SPIDER at large. I can reassure you from recent communications with the Commission, with all the ERN coordinators and beyond, that SPIDER faces many, many problems because simply our grounds are not ready for SPIDER. Yeah, so that needs to be integrated fully into hospital systems. And if you have a perfect scenario, the concept is fine, but in the practical world, extremely hard to implement. Whereas UPIT, the way it goes, has a much easier and applicable implementation pathway, which we have been used by now for a number of scenarios of data sharing, even in the transatlantic setting. Next slide. So we have come a long way. 2019, we started. We developed over the years to come the development with Data River as a development paid developer paid by the European Commission through ERN PaedCan funding. And in this way, important steps are done. In September 2024, we actually got the approval from the Ethical Commission from the University of Vienna on a registry protocol and on the consent forms in German. We thought we tried to be smart, and this is where we need you. We envisaged that it could be very bothersome if we bring every single ESCP and registry as separate modules through. To ease up the process, we have written a so-called study protocol that is to be understood as a standard of care practice guidelines that has many, many chapters. That means different different childhood ESCPs all in one, so that you just go once for the approval also for the registry. In the meanwhile, we have also provided with the English version of these consent forms, which are a guidance document. And obviously, we are here for you with any local issues that might arise in the negotiations with the ethical committees or any return questions. I think one of my ambitions, but this is still future, and you know, legislation in Europe does not run quickly. There are some certain moves to start to facilitate the process of registries, and there's a big discussion what is a registry and what is an observational study, but still being different from any frontline clinical trial that would fall under the European clinical trial regulation. So we are clearly outside of this, but then the discussion starts, and that involves informed consent and more of this. So the advice is all by what we have learned also in the ERN environment for the CPMS. You're always on the safe side if you work with an informed consent. I think this is quite clear. We just need to understand if locally there are any specific requests for specific wording to get the ethical approval. So here we can work together and help whatever shows up in terms of demands. And on the other hand, and this is the downside of registries in the majority of countries still, that for unknown reasons, and probably because it was so far not so important and not so high on the agenda, registries still have to go for a local institutional approval. And we don't have a uniform national approval or higher on the European level. We are fighting for this. It will take time, and we cannot wait till this possibly becomes implemented. Some discussions go also around the European health data space, where registries will be built in a different way and the legal background will be different. But having said this, it's also to remember that there is still a way to go, and we highly would like to encourage not to miss the time of having all these ESCPs up and running, and to go to your ethical committee locally and to bring this through as an ERN member. And since this was a common commitment in the very beginning, I think this is very important to underpin that we feel this is one of the important tasks of being an ERN member institute or affiliated partner. It's part of the measurable deliverables and monitorings that we have to undertake for the Commission. It's also part of our funding. So this is a big plea to take this on as a really and important task and not as a maybe or nice to have. Next slide, please. So where are we today? So you see here these guidelines, almost 28 by now. As usual, I don't read through all of them. I think it's good enough to capture that in the first 5 years, 10 were developed in across different indications with common efforts, as previously underpinned, mentors in the field together with younger investigators, all working together. So I think it's really a beautiful work that we as a childhood cancer community and as professionals have achieved all together. From in the next years, 22 to 23, another 14 ESCPs became available. Another 2 then in 2024 onwards, 2 are almost final in this purple text written, and the others are underway for being developed or being updated. And this refers to AML. Next slide, please. So this is just a recall what I previously specified. In the middle, the harmonized, really minimal core data set that will allow in the future any data linkage as envisaged and as needed, with the entity-specific modules that address the specific risk factors, which obviously, as we all know, don't need to explain to you, have different risk factors and are also on different levels of evidence, and hence different level of risk factors. Next one. So talking about modules, so every patient can already be registered by the core modules, and 14 have specific modules already available, embracing the entity-specific risk factors, SLIM, as we previously said, and also the reporting on the ESCP is a general part in the way that problems encountered, yes or no, a patient alive, yes or no, relapse occurred, yes or no. So very pragmatic. All the other tumors are on the move to get their modules ready, so they will become easily available. And the way we have written the study protocol, it should be quite easy then to bring through the additional modules of the registry by giving notification to the ethical committee. Next one. So what is the potential in this registry? I think just the research that we have done, and this is common knowledge, we have more than 340 up to 350 healthcare providers that could participate with a perspective from geographical Europe. Most importantly, this registry and the ESCPs are not competing with any randomized frontline clinical trials, so no competition on this level. But we all are quite aware that for the long-term follow-up, many of the clinical trial groups are for clinical trials, particularly under the clinical trial regulation, are embracing more and more the need of long-term follow-up and maybe even patient-reported outcomes. So there is potential. And I think this is one chapter that we will deepen with the clinical trial groups, because I think any clinical trial group registry and any ESCP registry should not perceive to be in competition, but where pre-existing and where logic, these two can be, let's say, married together to have here really a common effort. The long-term follow-ups and the specificities on patient-reported outcomes are also different, reflecting a little bit the different entities and inputs. This will evolve over time and will come, but it should not hamper us to get ready and to start this now. And possibly some questions we have to take entity by entity to discuss and find the good solutions, because one part, when one would ask, and what is in for me, with this enriched data, if well captured, it could inform also on a wider range the epidemiological, governmental registries on childhood cancer incidences with a better understanding. So I think it will create a lot of synergies if this very, very positive academic initiatives really is driven to fruition. Next slide, please. So from the resources that we want to address for the implementation at the specific sites. So ethical approval currently, although this is differently regulated in the European Clinical Trial Regulation for clinical trials with one ethical vote only per national country. Here we still have to go to the institutions. So we have designed a study protocol that embraces these ESCP guidelines. It has a total of 42 pages, and it outlines very clearly the aims of the ESCP as well as the registry. It will be amended when new ESCPs become available and the language is English. We have provided informed consents that are age adopted, and currently this is provided in German and in English. And with the modern language tools openly available, if you translate via DeepL or any other translating machine that is available and they're quick and ready, on the basis of these two guidelines, you quickly could translate into your own language that you most likely need when you go to ethics, and then to compare with the originals, either in German and most likely for most of you referring to the English version. We are proposing to you, once this homework is done, to go into ethics and activation training. So this is just to get accustomed with the registry, how to walk through, how to guide through, and this will be provided by Data River. And I'm sure they will. You will be convinced that this is a really easy to use registry, but everybody feels more comfortable if you don't have to discover everything on yourself, but if you're guided for the first time. And all this will happen once we learn about your ethical approval, and we will do it in groups as it comes by as it's convenient for language reasons. So next slide, I think we are almost to the end. Key informations, yeah, I think again a recall, a summary, that we have one protocol to be submitted embracing all the registries, so one in one go. The availability of the documents in English and the national language I already addressed because this is most likely needed. Next one. On questions, yeah, and we are prepared to support you in this type of questions. This is the never-ending discussion between what is a registry, what is an observational study or a non-interventional study. Between observational and non-interventional studies, there are still national interpretations behind. So please come back to us depending on your knowledge, what are your local requirements, and we will help you out to the best of our knowledge. Then obviously data protection comes into the game and questions along these lines arise. We have seen very different interactions with local data protection officers. And this refers also to the question if a data protection impact assessment is required, yes or no. This is not demanded in a harmonized way. It's easy for some, but complex for others. So that's why I don't make it big at the moment. And I think if you encounter such requests, we are here to help you and to guide you to find your way through. the registry owner as of today, as we have created under the wings of ERN, is the CCI. So there could be a request for a data sharing agreement. I think what we really wish to underpin is that we want to have this very open, completely in the spirit of the European health data space, that where in the not too distant futures, registries will not even need the informed consent, because data is to be used for the greater good of a society and the community. And we will, as such, behave also as CCI in terms of data sharing with the clinical trial groups, because anyway, we need you as experts out there to work on this data and to enrich the data as needed. And it's a real enabler for forthcoming undertakings. Your institutional data always is yours, and the secondary use I already pinpointed can be, if not up and running and perfectly in place, can support the National Cancer Registry one way or another, so that the data is gathered appropriately. So there are very nice ideas along these lines. And it can foster a lot of collaborations, and if I may say so, through the partner registry and the expert group, we are now have been not too long ago been funded for a very special project on two very rare tumor entities, exploring the transcontinental data sharing options. And this was directed money really from the Commission to explore grounds and fields. And obviously, as we go, this will kick off in 2026. We will share all the knowledge learned. And our ambition are well-aligned data commons, and to facilitate and ease any regulatory processes, very much in the spirit of the European health data space. Since I think the questions sometimes come, registries that do not carry image data or hold genomic profiling are easier to get through. So this is usually where the discussion is started. We're just taking the, so to say, ready-made biological risk factors as announced. And all the other ambitions that one theoretically can envisage to be connected is not the subject of discussion for the moment. Next one. Yeah, I open the floor now for any further questions. I just stopped my phone. Sorry for the inconvenience. So we stop the sharing, and maybe we can open the floor in the way that we could see each other, which would be fine. Any questions? Just give me 1 sec, and I will be, this is not polite, my apologies, but I just have to quickly answer a phone, and then I'm with you in a minute, but the floor already is open. Hello?
So maybe just to tell you that you can turn on your microphone, so there's no restriction or anything. You can turn on the camera, the microphone, or you could also, if you don't want to or cannot, write questions in the chat or the Q&A tab in Teams. Fredrik, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. Fredrik Bäcklund from Stockholm, Sweden. I was just wondering, Well, one of the questions that I could encounter is if this is a registry or an observational study. I didn't quite get the answer to that. I mean, first of all, I guess it's a registry, but what is it going to be used for? Is it only like presenting statistics? I mean, not as research, or because that will be the question from our ethical authority, I think. I mean, if we are going to produce studies with study results and to send them to scientific journals, that will be the difference, I think.
Ruth, you're muted.
Here I am. Okay, sorry. Too many different IT systems, so you search for the unmute button on the wrong place. So, you know, sometimes what we struggle in Europe is a multilingual country, and not only on a maybe personal level, is semantics. Yeah. What is behind the word? And that's why I was maybe on purpose a little bit confusing about registry and observational studies. Yeah. So I think we would happily agree, or I do know within the ERNs, there are some ERNs that driving a registry that is based basically on the 16 core data commons, yeah, of the joint research centers. No informed consent over thousands of patients in the registry, no headache, basically. But then when you, it depends also on the country. So it's not the same in each country because country-based interpretations are different. And things get a little bit different if you enter some risk factors and some patient level data in terms of, I mean, we are not even asking for response. So I think possibly it could be good, but because we are asking practicalities and shortcut and the few biological risk factors, which does not mean for the moment that we have genomic data attached, should keep it in the interpretation of a registry. Yeah, but we have seen it all in all variation, and this was just to prepare you. And depending, I would try to go through as under the notion of a registry. So much for this semantics. And to top off the confusion on sometimes an observational study and non-interventional trials are almost used equivalent. But these terms are not equivalent in the legal interpretation depending on the country you are in. Yeah. And just to increase the understanding what I mean, you can say observational study is a single arm study, no randomizations. But then there are countries where the legislation still says you only can have your data captured under an observational study if the drugs you use are fully approved and licensed in the indication, which puts pediatric cancer off the notion. And only in Austria, to my knowledge, and over the other countries, I don't have so much oversight. They now have changed our national legislation that this notion has widened and allows the off-label use in an observational study or in a non-interventional study. So sorry for the confusion, but this is to prepare you. We do have still multiple interpretations and we are ready to help you. Try to go with a registry, whatever comes back and you need help, just come back to us. And for the future or for the potential, as we know where the data comes from on an institutional level, and if UPID is assigned to it, you can have population-based research questions, obviously outcome questions, improvement of cancers on the basis of risk factors, because given the complexity of upfront clinical trials, as much as we need them, we do know not everybody can be part of these rather complex and work-intensive scenarios. I can go on, but I want to keep it short, or at least not to talk too long. Did I address your questions or any more?
Yes, thank you. So what I needed to know is if there will be research on the data, and I think I heard that there might be. So,
well, research on the data, if you report cancer incidence rates under a standard of care treatment, so I'm not sure if this is research. And I think if you have a secondary use of data or linkage research project, you go back to ethics anyhow. Yeah, because then you just have the backbone from which you can work. And when you have a specific project and you would say then, and now I want to, I have there my biobank and I have there my image data bank, and here I have the clinical outcome data and I want to combine it all, most likely you would for the time being go back and hand in another ethical application for this specific research project.
Yeah, just wonder what I will write in the informed consent or the patient information form or sheet. I would probably write something that the data may be used for research or
secondary use of data for the interpretation of outcomes may be subject of future research interventions. But you can say, name it clinical research interventions, or I mean, one can also have a little bit of a workaround because outcome data usually and the importance of it and the interpretation of it is not what is usually considered risk-intensive research questions.
Je viens de voir ton message, tu es en entretien avec des parents. Mais dis-moi un peu, c'est le problème de la fratrie.
We have nice French. Everybody's listening. Thank you. Okay.
I sent a message on the chat.
Okay, there's, I'm looking into the chat. Will we have the material to submit? If this was your questions, yes. Yeah. We have provided all the material, and a DTA, if you need it, we can give you a proposal to help you, but it's not needed everywhere. Yeah, so sometimes you just need to know the specificities of requirements, and our encouragement is try to keep the level low. On a single institution basis, we have had stories that in a few ones this can get extensive and it can be very slim in others. So it depends very much on your needs, and if you can scope your needs, I think we readily can come back with to you also on the basis what the ERNs have developed in respective projects, what you then can use as a template. But give us a little bit of an idea what you might need, because you have the local experience, what your ethics usually demands or requires.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? So I see no more questions in the chat.
Michael has his hand raised.
Ah, yeah. Hello. Help me looking for the hands.
I just wanted to ask, in Germany, there's currently a change that non-clinical trials should receive just one ethical vote, which then applies for all participating centers. So therefore, it would need like the necessity to define one leading center in Germany, which would do the primary work, and then the others could refer to the ethical vote of this center. So I think this is something that would need to be decided, which center would take over this step.
Well, thank you very much for this comment. I knew about it through the ERNs, but I didn't want to make it so public at the moment, not to confuse everybody, because this is very country specific, let's say it like this. We hope to push it into this direction. And indeed, you're totally right. And I think through the organizations. Currently, I'm working closely with Uta on this SIOP Europe board. Here we are closely connected to the clinical trial groups. And I think through these channels, we are likely to find out for the German institution, the acting institution that could drive the process to facilitate this in Germany. And this is Germany specific for the time being, to my knowledge. Yeah. And that's why I didn't want to make it as a guiding example for all of Europe, because it would create confusion.
Yes. Okay, thanks.
Do we have already a file with the data set that will be requested?
The data sets, yes, are all ready, and also the data items. So this has been created by Data River, and if you need it for a submission, I'm not sure if ethics go that deep at your site or center, but yes, the work is done with the help of the mentors and the young investigators. So the same ones that have actually created and written the ESCPs, they also have identified the data commons for the entity that they have felt responsible for, and this is done and ready for use. And a few, as I mentioned, are in the development process. And I would assume that this is very much aligned, because it doesn't come that top down, but more or less comes from those that are deeply involved in the respective clinical trial groups and entities.
Okay, thank you.
Any more hands? So if there are no more
sorry,
Ruth, yeah. Hello. You're still muted.
Yes, sorry. Hello, good afternoon. Just wondering, perhaps I missed it, but are there already a lot of countries approved? Or is it besides Austria, no other country is approved yet?
Well, as I said, no country approval, but institutional approval, except for Germany. Yes. And we are launching this process actually now. Yeah, all together. Okay. So we started with a similar webinar with a focus on the widening countries. So there are a number of institutions on their way. And we said after summer now, it's our second wave of calling out to our sites, to also do the necessary steps.
Okay, thank you.
Any more hands? Questions?
No, there's a question in the chat.
Okay.
If the presentation will be sent to everyone. think we'll have the usual follow-up email to everybody with supporting documents.
Exactly. So everything will come to you, and for any support and help, you just come back to us, and we act as a managing team to support you with whatever you encounter in the process. But we cannot do the work on your behalf, so sorry for that one. We need you to engage. Any more questions? So if there are not any more, then I think we are just have saved a little bit of time, which is absolutely fine. I'll let you go back to your afternoon work. And thank you very much for having participated.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just a quick announcement. I will share with you an internal evaluation survey. I hope you can see my screen. So as we did 2 years ago, we are capturing information, basically feedback from your side, to see how several of the activities are going with you, if you need more support in some things, if we can improve dissemination, if we can improve the communication within your hospital. So we would like to really ask you to share your feedback. It will help us a lot to better tailor our activities to what you need. We have a deadline till the 12th of October. So you will receive an email right after the webinar. And then if you have any comment, please just let us know. I think from my side, Ruth, if you want to take over. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. We have worked over summertime quite intensively also on the makeup and on. So we lifted a little bit and made our ERN PaedCan webpage more accessible, more modern, and addressing better the needs. So feel invited to visit this. I don't know, it will go online like in the next few days. Yeah, so give it maybe a week, and then I think it should be good.
There's just Martin, one technical detail and add-on that needs to be activated, and once this is done, the new website will be launched. So that's this week. This is what it will look like.
Stay tuned for this announcement to come. And I think we really invested good work or lots of thoughts to make it very accessible. And I think what is really brand new, and this is also something we should underpin, is that we now have all the ESCPs openly accessible on the ERN PaedCan webpage directly. Yeah, and this was different in the past. Hence, we think, and what we also didn't put the finger on, because we talk about this many times, that currently the initiative is ongoing, that we have on the one side these ESCP protocols, but we also publish so that these can be also found in the literature. And this process is ongoing extremely nicely. Martin always has the newest numbers. I don't know if this is coming now too quick, Martin, because we focused on the registries and not so much on the publications.
On the ESCP publications. There are 28 ESCPs, I think, right now, and publications, papers. Please don't quote me, but I think it's 12.
Yes.
Okay, my estimate would have been that, and it will come out with the informative materials. So this is where it's going, and this was one of the reasons, since we are now intending to publish them anyhow. We thought also the guidance should be out and be accessible. And we also have our warnings out. For a while, we had some concerns that this standard of cares might be very high-level standards for some regions. possibly outside of Europe. And this warning is anyhow on the ESCPs, and I think Cyber International has anyhow developed guidance documents for middle and low income countries. So this was our concern in the past, why we felt uneasy to make them publicly accessible. But I think now with all the developments going on or that have been undertaken by SIOP and also us on our side, it's the right time to make them easily accessible as guiding protocols for daily use, but also to have the content in a briefer, condensed way published in, ideally, we usually take care that these are open access journals. Okay, so there were still some things to say at the end, and whenever you have questions, please don't hesitate to come back to us. We are happy to address them. Okay, then thank you very much for being here, and happy to read from you and to hear you, and hopefully an easy and smooth process to go through ethics. All the best.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
I think I will end the meeting now.
Yeah, I think almost everybody is offline,
yes.
and
yes.
So we do the necessary as usual afterwards. So you don't need my guidance for that.
No, okay. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you.
We'll catch up.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.